Hello and welcome to the Teardown Sessions. I'm your host, Helen Leigh, and today we are coming live from Circuit Launch, which is an awesome hardware space in Oakland. We'll be hearing more about that shortly, including some really awesome guests from the space. But before I do that, as usual, let's go and take a look at what's going on at Crowd Supply. Okay, so first of all, we've got a bunch of interesting crowdfunding projects. Let me just switch over to the things. So we've got a few things that are crowdfunding now. I'm going to share with you some of my favorites. This is Tangara. I've actually got one of the prototypes here on my desk, if you can see that. I'll show you that a bit later. But this is an open source ESP32 powered iPod, essentially. So if you're familiar with that form factor and you were around in the early 2000s and you fancy a bit of retro tech with open source files, then this is for you. It's been super successful, and Jacqueline is a great follow on Mastodon as well, if you are a Mastodon user. So Tangara's great, that's doing well. What else have we got? Oh, Boondock Echo, we've got this going on still. It's essentially an answering machine for ham radio. So if you're a radio person, definitely check that out. It's already hit its goal, great. Coming soon, some of my favorites that are coming up. So we've got Quadrant, which is, I don't know if you've known the leap motion that you can, the time of flight essentially for the hand. This is an open source version, and it's updated as well. So I'd really recommend checking this out, especially if you are a pure data user. This plays really nicely with that. Also coming up that I like, we've got Tinko Hush, which is fun EL stuff. So you can take a look at this. This is really fun. So if you're into e-textiles or wearables, this is a fun project that's going on at the moment. What else is coming? Oh yes, KittenBot. I love KittenBot. So I've been a fan of these people for some time, and this is their first crowd supply campaign. So I'm really happy to see them come on with their first thing. Really cool. All right, so that's those are my favorite things coming up. But before I bring on the Circuit Launch folks, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Qorvo, who are sponsoring today's giveaway. Yes, we have a giveaway today, and today's giveaway is the CaribouLite Raspberry Pi hat. So if you're into SDRs, software defined radios, look at me using acronyms where I don't have to, then you can join this competition to get this. So basically, it's very simple, same as always. The prize will go out to the person who comments closest to the timestamp that I have written on my piece of paper. So keep those questions and comments coming in. It does make us feel less alone and less like we are talking at a camera and more like we're actually talking to you. So please do let us know where you're coming from. And yeah, keep those comments coming to win a CaribouLite. Thanks, Qorvo. Okay, and before, so I'm going to bring on some folks from Circuit Launch now and let them introduce themselves. 1 second. Let me take this off and then come on in. Who wants to come and introduce themselves? I'm here.
Hello.
Hi. 1 second. Let me just mute this site. Okay, cool. Hey, hooray. Oh, hello, Leon. Nice to see you. And oh, nice. Hello, David. David's the community editor for Make Magazine. So
hello,
he's there as well. Hello. And Leon's one of our creators as well and makes really awesome open source hardware from Bulgaria. Okay, cool. So do you would you like to introduce yourself to the folks and tell us a little bit about the space that we're in?
Absolutely. So I'm Alex. I'm one of the founders of Circuit Launch. Circuit Launch started with this idea to bring the mechatronic engineering community together. We started as a co-working space, and we evolved to something that we call co-factory, which is a place where you're going to go to prototype and manufacture first few hundred pieces.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That's it. Simple that. We offer infrastructure. We're not an accelerator. We're not an incubator. We're also agnostic to which. We actually don't give exclusivity to nobody. As long as you're in the mechatronic industry, we want you here.
That's great. Yeah. And we're going to have a little tour of the space later as well. So stay around for that. And David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hello, everybody. And Helen, thanks for having us here. And how big a space do we have here?
35,000.
35,000
square feet.
35,000 square feet. So we're going to do a walk around and check out some projects a little later in the stream. But I'm Bo, and I'm one of the regulars here. Been a mentor for years. And
8 years. We've seen the bare bones of the place.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, there's some more space coming. and we'll get into that in a future singular thing. But I'm really into embedded hardware. I'm a huge fan of MicroPython and many other languages. I really like working with 3D printers, CNCs, all the different things. So also do amateur radio and have some interesting balloon stuff to talk about and other projects. So so I imagine we'll just kind of hang out and talk for a bit, and then we'll tee up some demos with some folks in the space and walk around.
I've got a down camera. We've got some people with some devices over here. We've got some fun devices that are actually coming up on CrowdSupply soon that are based in this space as well. So we've got lots of cool things to show you and lots of people who will be dropping in and out. So where do you want to start? What do you want to do, Bo?
Yeah, well, you've got another.
Go ahead to go to all the locations.
Thank you for popping on the stream and saying hello to us. Go off to your meeting.
Thanks so much,
All right, man. Always good to see you. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
So Alex is off to yet another space.
Which tell me more about this new space.
Yeah, so we're here in Oakland, right close to the Oakland airport is just behind us, and the Coliseum and Coliseum BART is just on the other side of the freeway from us. And so this new space is 15,000 square feet, and it is just south of us, a couple stops down at the Bayfair BART. And so folks aren't familiar, San Francisco Bay Area, we're in the East Bay, and there's Oakland, and then we're at the south end of Oakland, and then it goes into San Leandro, Hayward, and Fremont. So the new Bayfair space is the south end of San Leandro. So it's literally next to another BART station. So it's going to be really easy to commute to and get over to the space. And we're planning kind of a kickoff first weekend of April is going to be a robo block party.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Robo Block Party.
Yeah.
I do like, that's how I first heard of this space, actually. It was the Robo Block Party.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun.
There's a lot of fun robots around here, I should
Yeah.
say. I ran an event here last night about sound hacking, and it was the first time I've had people attend an event of mine with a Telepresence robot, which was very exciting.
Right?
It was really cool.
So I brought a few random things, not that we're going to really run out of things to talk about.
No,
but,
we're really not.
I'm a big fan of badge life.
Yeah.
I think that's a really fun way to get into electronics and
I agree.
do technical things, do creative things. This was from Car Hacking Village at DEF CON a couple years ago.
Was this the badge?
Yeah, this was their village badge. So it's this nice laser acrylic cut car with blinky lights, and then you can hit the bumper on the back and get a little scroll wheel menu. So I can go through and pick different blink pattern modes. So it's just a fun little device to play around with, and you can walk around with it on there. And yeah, it's got a big microcontroller to hack on and some servos to play with the steering. So that's good fun. Also, I like to spend a lot of my time working with expressive ESP chips.
Yes.
And
popular choice.
Yeah. Been a big fan of that over the years, and great platform for MicroPython as well as whatever your language of choice is. So we'll talk a little bit more with some other friends of mine here, but I really like reverse engineering.
Yes.
And tearing things apart. So Teardown's a very apt name. I do that
Tell
quite.
them about your Teardown meetup. Your reverse engineering meetup.
Yeah. So started a thing called Brickbreakers.
Yeah.
And so that's been myself and Andre, who we're going to introduce in a bit. And we've been talking over this idea of having kind of like, we want to ultimately do this like a live kind of event. So we'll get people together and we'll have some hardware. So like this is a random find. Did you ever know that Atari made a handheld game?
Only is it Speak and Spell?
It is not.
That's the only thing I know about. This is not from. Yeah, this is not my era, and this is not my national. They weren't huge. What is it?
Yeah. So Atari, known for Pong.
Yeah.
And then many other things. They actually came out with a much earlier card game with the aptly named Touch Me. So this was many decades ago, a stand-up arcade game. You pump a quarter in.
Yeah.
It had 4 buttons, and of course, I didn't bring a charged battery.
Of course, live demos, man. Of course you didn't.
But it does. I mean, I looked at everything.
Of course.
But it basically does. It's not Simon Says, but it does. It lights up. You push the button. You get it right. It lights up another one.
Wow.
And so apparently, the way it went is the folks that did Simon Says saw that in the arcade, and that was kind of inspiration that created Simon Says.
No way. That's really interesting. I would have thought that the Simon Says came.
It came later. And yeah, because at the time that this was an arcade game, like portable electronics and things weren't really feasible. So so then Atari saw this crazy success of Simon Says, and they're like, we need to do a mobile version. So Simon Says was kind of a knockoff of the Atari arcade game Touch Me, and then Atari kind of knocked off Simon Says to make this handheld, which is not nearly as fun and cool as the Simon Says, so it's kind of a flop. But Atari, being here in the Bay Area, we have all this crazy Silicon Valley history, and so these were made and assembled. So somebody still had boxes of like rejects of these in their garage, and those drifted to the surface not long ago. So that was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
And so I've got another one hiding off to the side that I've torn apart and in reverse engineering and playing around with, and ultimately trying to figure out how it ticks and all of that stuff. So
nice. David's just given a shout out to the Atari Lynx as well. It's one of his favorite Atari devices. It's really cool. Well, I see something else interesting on the desk, which isn't yours, but it is a crowd supply campaign.
Oh, it is now.
So do you want to show this?
Yeah. So before crowd supply, so there's so thing with Circuit Launch is this is really a space for hardware startups. Yeah. So we have individual hobbyists to startups that are maturing and growing into the double-digit numbers of folks and all of that. So one of the longtime members here, along with me, Murdad, started this thing called UBO. And this is actually an UBO. So it has this really nice extruded aluminum case.
It is a really nice case.
And injection molded base and bits. But it's also been really cool because this whole thing initially was 3D printed and resin printed. So we're able, using some of the equipment and facilities here, able to do many iterations until it actually became production ready. And so the basic bits is, so inside there's currently a Raspberry Pi 4 and then this sideboard. So it does some really nice things where it breaks out 2 full-size HDMI and puts all your ports on the back. So you've got your micro SD here, you've got a little button, and then also an I2C breakout cable. So I find this really useful device for doing embedded hardware development, because like for me with MicroPython, I can actually run it on here and then plug in a sensor with the I2C. But then also there's this really nice bit of engineering. There's various versions of these top boards. But basically they've got the standard 40-pin header and then a side header for the daughter board, and then a flat flex cable for an LCD screen, and there's some dome buttons. So this is the finished version with laser cut wood trim. You've got a nice color screen here and some customizable buttons. So that all snaps together on here. And then this as well is this really cool diffused ring around the outside. And it's loaded with APA 102 RGBs. So this makes a really nice programmable blinky ring. And then there's also infrared receiver transmitter chip, light sensor, there's some speakers, there's a microphone, there's a physical switch. So this is really a great exploration device for home automation. And you can do different trims, like you can do it a little less expensive without the top and build your own hardware. So yeah, this is really cool. When we go on a tour, we'll show you.
We are going to go on a tour in a bit.
Station.
We're not going to be standing here forever. We're going to go and look
Yeah.
around the space as well.
And a
Yeah,
little
say
bit of a
that's cool.
tease. So yeah, Nerdog's been working on this for a while, and of course now the Pi 5 is out. So he's already working on a rev for some minor tweaks to make this Pi 5 compatible. And of course the big thing with the 5 is they finally added a breakout for the PCI bus and potentially do NVMe. And so this is a hack that Murdog's also been developing. And so it's got the M2 slot and holes for all the different standard sizes. So there'll be a version where you can have an NVMe built in with your UBO and do the SSD through that means as well. So yeah, I mean that's what makes this a really kind of fun place to hang out and explore, because we've got a lot of cool folks doing really interesting things, and it's quite inspirational and fun to be around.
Super fun. Very cool. What else do we want to show while we're stood at the desk?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll mention some other random hobbies and interests.
Oh, and I really want to hear about your high altitude ballooning project as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll talk about that for a minute. So part of a group in the Bay Area called San Francisco High Altitude Ballooning. Folks can find that online, sf-hab.org for SF-HAB.
I'll put that in the show notes.
And the HAB is kind of the common shorthand for high altitude balloon. And so we fly these tiny balloons. We're using just a few gram circuit board that's about this big. And for years, we've been doing this with the 8-bit AVR, but now we're using the RP2040 microcontroller.
Interesting. Why did you make that switch?
Well, just because it's available, and we're not really needing a lot of horsepower. But interestingly, now we've got loads of I/O, loads of speed, multi-core, much newer system, and still really inexpensive. But also thus far, it's actually been lower power as well.
Oh, really?
And our balloons, there's no battery. It's just solar powered. And so they're smaller than a postcard. And the RP2040 has actually been more efficient. So we're able to power up because we're waiting for the sun to get at a high enough angle to hit the solar panels. And the less power we need, the more it can be active. And then that powers a tiny transmitter. So we use something called Whisper, which is a really cool protocol for amateur radio, and something called the 20-meter band. And so 20 meter is how we describe the wavelength, which means that the wavelength at 20 meters, which is about 14 megahertz, is actually 20 meters long. So it's a really low, they call it high frequency, but they came up with that name like 100 years ago. So by today's standards, it's relatively low frequency. But the cool thing is with just milliwatts of transmit power, we have balloons at 40,000 feet over the middle of the Atlantic. And there's stations all over the world using primarily SDRs that are picking up and decoding that signal and reporting it to centralized databases. So we've got a balloon that we launched here from the East Bay 4 months ago. And it's flown around the world several times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just kind of crazy because it's a bare PCB. There's not even a conformal coating. And it's just floating around up there, and it's still going.
Just on its own?
Yeah. And it's just the balloons look like a really cheap, clear trash bag that don't have anything in them. But when it gets up close to altitude, it expands to over 100-inch circumference balloon. And yeah, it's something called super pressure balloons. So the pressure inside the balloon is always the same as the pressure outside. So at ground level, it's everything's really compressed, but then it goes up and then it just hovers at that altitude and keeps going. So so one of the related things that I found, because I started paying attention to balloons, is radio songs. So all over the world, weather services launch balloons twice a day. So we're right next to the Oakland airport. which happens to be a launch site. So at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m., there's a machine that fills a 1 kilogram latex balloon with hydrogen. So it inflates it to about this big around, and it launches it. It's got a tiny little payload that is STM32 based, and it's got a GPS and a transmitter and some weather sensors. And it basically goes straight up over 100,000 feet, about 20 miles up. And the balloon expands to like 30 feet across and eventually pops.
Oh.
And then it just falls back down. So the weather services only really care about the data on the way up. It's basically creating like a vertical slice of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And there's something like 800 of these sites around the world that all launch balloons twice a day at the same time. So that goes into populating a lot of the data models for weather forecasting and things you can do with crunching on supercomputers. But for the rest of us, did you know there's been some other YouTubers have started popularizing this, but basically there's a twice a day AA off the shelf lithium battery air delivery service. So it's like the greatest scavenger hunt geocaching ever.
Oh, wow.
Because these things are transmitting GPS data.
Oh, I see.
And so we can map them in real time. And then we also have predictive modeling of where they're going to land.
So there's people going around recovering these balloons for the parts.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Exactly.
I like that.
And so we get to practice a lot of different techniques because you can do radio direction finding.
Yeah.
So you're basically honing in on the signal strength.
That's so interesting.
But then we've also got some modified ESP and LoRa devices that can actually tune into the 400 megahertz signal from the balloon and decode it in the field.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
so you can get the data off.
So I'll be tracking this, and it takes an hour and a half to go up to altitude, and then it takes about half an hour to fall back down. So it's really easy to hear when it's way up in the air. I'll get an idea: is this going to land somewhere where I can get to it in a reasonable amount of time and whatever else. So then I'll drive out there, and then once I'm fairly close, I'll be able to pick it up with an embedded device.
Nice.
And that'll give me the position down to inches.
Fascinating.
And I really like doing it without the GPS. It's much kind of more of it's a lot more sporting to have to just kind of track it.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that's led to all kinds of crazy hikes and adventures. And it's amazing. If anybody's into red teaming, this is like such great practice because I've been able to get into so many facilities. I roll up wearing my hacker camouflage, which has on my pants yesterday.
Yes, I did see them.
Glow in the dark orange with high vis.
Yeah, exactly. Hacker camouflage.
So I'm dressed in that head to toe with this giant antenna waving around, and I just walk up to like security office. I'm like, "Hey, I'm an amateur radio operator tracking a weather balloon."
Yeah.
And then they're like on the phone connecting to dispatches and stuff. And next thing I know, I'm crawling across campuses and up on roofs of building and in municipal waterworks facilities.
Wow.
And
this is fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's,
I got a question about this.
Cool.
So David says it's Pokemon Go in real life. And he also says, where can I find out more about this?
Yeah. So and that's the thing is like wherever you are, there's probably a balloon near you. So one of the best websites is sondehub.org. And that is SONDE hub.org. And that will show you all the real-time telemetry from around the world. And so if you log on today in a few hours, just after 3 o'clock, you'll start seeing balloons pop up literally around the world.
Wow.
There's over 1,000 of these launched a day.
That's so cool.
So so if anybody's really into STM32 hacking, that's one of the most common ones. There's a few different areas supply different balloons with different payloads.
Super cool.
Southern California, the big Space Force rocket launch base, you'll see launches. So you see it's really popular in Europe. All those gray cans are ones that people have chased and recovered.
Which ones are the ones that people have recovered?
So you see all the gray and white cans.
Oh, like it's like these over Dusseldorf here.
So that's one. So now you see you hover over that. That was picked up. You can see who picked it up.
Tesla Tim picked that up.
Yeah, all the green dots are tracking stations.
Okay.
So that's somebody usually with a Raspberry Pi and an SDR. And then so if you can zoom way out, and yeah, I'll show you a couple of quick things, and then we'll do the tour.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the right as well, you'll find there's a link to the amateur version, and that'll show the high altitude balloons that I was talking about.
Oh, nice.
So
And where's that? Where's that link?
Yeah. So yeah, we can switch to that. If you go over there, oh, that's funny. They don't have it on there anymore. So it's just, you just add, so it's sondayhub.org. You just add amateur to that. So amateur.sondayhub.org. But if we stay on this version,
sure.
And
what are these cars? These people on
those are people out driving around chasing.
Oh wow. That's cool.
So yeah, so this has a live tracker map. So
Cool.
if you want to zoom out, we can pan around to California.
Oh damn! Look at these. This
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah. So this has been quite a popular hobby in Europe for a number of years. It's still pretty unknown in the US. And so yeah, if we zoom in California, you can see there's a couple that were recently picked up. Unfortunately, the weather, it's been blowing them all out towards Nevada and the Central Valley. So a lot of times though, they'll land within a mile or two. And then if you go to the drop down and change 3 hours to 12 hours. So this is showing live balloons for the last 3 hours. Now we're getting the last 12 hours. So we'll see the balloon that was launched at 3 a.m. this morning. So yeah, so if you click on that green one now, so now you see the whole flight path. It usually does this cool zigzag because the altitude's changing. And if you click telemetry graph at the bottom left.
On the where?
The blue button.
Oh,
right
I see
there.
it. Sorry. Yep. I haven't got my glasses on.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, so this now is showing you all the telemetry that we're getting. So all this data is crowdsourced and pulled out of the air. We've got
with the people with the SDR.
Yeah, so you
cool.
can actually see the green dots here. So like I've got a tracking station in Mountain View, and yeah, so you see there's the ascent. And then you're also seeing the temperature, and the temperature goes way down, and then interestingly, it starts to go back up when it gets even higher. So yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff to pull out of this. But yeah, if anybody's interested,
David's all over this. He's like, I'm so interested.
Yeah, so there's a good bit of documentation. We mostly work with what's called the RS-41, made by a company called Visalia. And it's pretty well documented. There's already some good open source reverse engineered code, so we can reflash these. And if you're an amateur radio licensee, you can do all kinds of interesting repurpose things. So yeah, it's a good tie-in with what we've been doing with the high altitude balloon stuff and everything else.
Super cool.
So
and I did want to just quickly go back to and the Ubo isn't live yet, so you can't find it in Creds Player, but it is coming. There's an article up on Hackster if you wanted to have a little look at this.
Yeah.
Before it comes next.
Yeah, there's
that's the machine that we were showing. That's a little company that's based out of here. It's Socket Launch.
Yeah, and maybe we can do another little plug if so Hackster is great. Also want to point out a couple. If you go to Hackaday.io.
Yeah, we love Hackaday.io.
So there's a little bit of a behind the scenes Hackaday.io project on Ubo, so you can see some of the internals and also like where it started. So I think it's really nice to kind of see how it evolved. And then you'll also find the high altitude ballooning project on there. So
nice.
Yeah,
send me the links and I'll drop them in the show notes.
Perfect. Because we're developing our own boards for that, and yeah, definitely if anybody's particularly proficient with C and wants to do some embedded code, we're working on adding some features and functionality. And we're going to start flying more sensors, so we're evaluating some gyroscopes, and then also now able to do some image downloading. So we're experimenting with some protocols so we can have a tiny camera flying around and beam us down some images as well.
Very cool.
So yeah.
And David says also Make is pretty cool, I hear.
Oh really?
Apparently, so magazine or something.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of great.
Yeah. They got a bunch. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try and get my. Should we go on a little walkabout?
Yeah. And do we need to do anything for the audio?
I'm just gonna see if it works. Let me just add myself in. It might not work straight away at a stage. Right, okay, so we've got, can you hear me from my telephone? Because I can't. Can you, if David can confirm, I've muted that so
Okay.
I can hear my echo. So as soon as someone says that they can hear me from, oh, I guess they can hear me.
Well, did we meet? Yeah, let me mute.
So let's
I'm gonna
remove. How about that? Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
you get any feedback on that?
Settings, hang on 1 second. Settings, hang on, wait. Sound. Says. How about now? Oh, all good again, he says. Awesome. Okay, great. We lost sound there for a moment, but we do have sound back again. So that's good. So we did hear, hang on, we did hear some of your chats there. So that's Labsmore. We used your microphones earlier. These are, sorry, microscopes earlier. Do you want to, just in case they missed the beginning bit of your thing with the audio fail, do you want to repeat yourself?
Yes, I'm Yusuf. I'm CEO of Labsmore, and we build automated microscope systems. So we have a full pipeline, open source, fully customizable software, the hardware itself, and cloud services. We do a number of things out of the box: focus stacking, HDR, cloud stitching.
Oh, cool. What is cloud stitching?
So cloud stitching. So as you can see, the microscope takes a very small image each time, and you got to take multiples across the thing you're imaging. So what we do is we automatically take all those images and stitch them into one single giant image, and we also host it online for you if that's what you desire.
That's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Cool microscope. We've got some modular synth setup here as well. What else do you want to see? Do you want to show us what you got here? What's going on?
Sure.
Hi.
So we actually have like a modular system. This is a generic modular synth setup. There's a variety of manufacturers in here. The main goal of this is to just have a base system that you can easily go and perform with. Everything is very specifically in here. So we have a sequencer, we have a mixing board, we have general purpose things for LFOs or for controlling voltages. And then everything goes in and out through an audio processor to things like microphones, speakers, etc. And effects, processors, everything else. It's kind of like build your own synthesizer with the parts that you actually need versus the parts that you're stuck with. So it's a very cool setup.
Let's do it.
A little bit later, we're going to have it set up with
I played on this last night. This was great.
the Mostly Nova guitar. So it's going to
Super
be
cool.
What happened last night?
the IntelliJo.
I played it last night. Oh, at Sound Hackers.
Very, very cool.
It is a really cool MIDI guitar with some interesting effects. And this is like a multi-touch panel down here as well, so you can do some really interesting modulation with it.
Yes, so I'm going to set it up to the modular.
Very cool. Oh, amazing. So we're actually, we'll come back later and actually listen to you playing it. Amazing, cool, very cool.
So
Yeah,
show off a little bit of the space
Yeah,
here.
let's do it.
This is our main event space.
Yeah. Let's do it here, from here.
So so we do all kinds of meetups here, and this is a primarily professional space, but very community focused. So like last night, they were happy to host us for Sound Hackers, and great venue for that. Sometimes we'll do events with hundreds of folks, and you also get to sample Alex's fantastic Brazilian barbecue.
Oh, tell them about the robot event that you do here, the autonomous robot event.
Yeah, so we also host DIY robocars. So if you see there's duct tape all over the floor, that's actually the track. And so we have RC cars, anything from a Raspberry Pi-based donkey car to these custom-built RCs. And what they do is they race each other head-to-head in heats autonomously. So there's no user intervention, and it's amazing because these things will drift around the corner, they'll pass each other, they'll do these death circle things, and the kids love it, but it's a really, really, really fun event. And so all the basement is, we've got a kitchen and kind of hangout room here, and a variety of coffee machines and things.
As you need for a headspace.
And then there's also like conference rooms you can book if you need to have meetings and things like that. We've got various size rooms at your disposal. And then, we've got various things to show off and play around with. One of our longtime members here, Silicon Valley Robotics. So Andra actually organizes the Robo Block Party and a monthly box and beer events. So we always have like cool new robots and things to take a look at and play around with. Okay. So maybe we'll walk around the space this way.
Let's do it.
I'll mention.
I'm just going to make sure that people can still hear us. Okay. I'm just going to check in on the chat. We've got a question here. Is that Chris's RoboCar event?
Chris Anderson, yes. Chris Anderson started the DIY RoboCars, and then just do a real quick shout out.
Yeah.
So here's another fun project. So Evil Mad Scientist, long time.
Evil Mad Scientist, who just got bought by Phantom.
They got snapped up and packed up and moved out east. So they cleared out the factory and had a big garage sale in the parking lot.
I'm so bummed I didn't go to that.
Their cocktail robotics division created this crazy contraption for Robo Exotica, and uses back pressure fluidics with flasks to do these dipping, pouring drink concoctions. So we'll have that at the block party.
I have that at the block party, and I've been hinting at getting it for Teardown as well, which I've completely forgotten to tell anybody about.
So here we just have a random show and tell, but I'll do a quick demonstration here. So robots in springtime, that sounds like a good theme.
It does.
And so I'll hit the thing, and I'm gonna make 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I got myself. not the greatest shot, but so it's gonna go through. We'll give this about 10 seconds, but while that's thinking, that's baking in the oven. So
look at me with my thumb up.
Baking in the oven. So this is another version.
Oh, this is the microscope thing that I used last night. Yeah. This is pretty cool.
So we can drive that around and do similar things. So there's a super exciting screw head.
Wow.
But the fun thing, more exciting than a screw, is if you actually look down here, I'm running this demo off the Uber.
Yeah, look at that.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, so there's one buried in there. So it's fun to see. Oh, look at this. Here we are. It turned me into a robot.
That's beautiful.
I believe.
And I've become a slight cyborg. Here we are. Look at this. I've got some kind of like robot thing. Here we are.
So this, I believe, is using stable diffusion. Yeah, there's one. This is from the meetup last night.
Oh, from the Sound Hackers. Yeah,
so cool. That was a beverage. Now it's a portal into another universe with googly eyes.
That's cool.
So some of the just for fun things that we have here.
This police box is the wrong color.
Well, wait for it. So, this is a shared open space, and so, if you want to be on calls and blah, 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 or whatever, it can get a little hectic, but we've got these call boxes.
Oh, no
so
way.
you can
So
jump
cute.
in and take a call if
That's
you need
cool.
some space ad hoc.
Big around
And
the
so you can get a shot of.
Oh, yeah, here we are.
So Ubo, yeah, we have this nice exploded here.
Yeah. Well done, Ubo.
And so basically we've got all the things, I hear and whatnot, and
Some things I've left.
yeah, so,
my little presents.
Pre-torn down, you can see various stages of the assembly. These are very, very, very fresh boards for the new NVMe testing.
Very cool.
Let
me know if I need to put my camera down if there's anything sensitive, because there are.
But you might recognize this guy.
We know this.
We've got a spot robot here, so we do robot hackathons and things from time to time. And the guys here, you can actually remote in and test code on spot and do like interactive training and things without having to have a spot of your own.
That's really cool.
This is one of our roboticists in residence. He's really into 3D printing and Mars rovers. So this thing will do laps around the track and otherwise crawl around. So that's a fun test. And we do have permission to do a pass-by view of these guys.
Okay,
so
there we go.
Siren Opt here is one of our startups, and they have actually just expanded to take over this big space here, and are one of the larger companies. And so you see these boxes here.
Yeah.
Actually have a CNC-like thing in them as well. And it does a process with plasma at near room temperature to analyze materials.
Oh, cool.
So lithium-ion battery manufacturers in particular can use that equipment to do process control and testing and things.
Very cool.
And then we just kind of have rows and rows here of offices, spaces. You can get a dedicated individual desk. You can get slightly larger configuration, so this could be your new startup. And then you see this giant machine.
Is this? Are we allowed to?
Yeah.
Okay. This I knew this was in stealth mode before. That's why. Let's take a look. Yeah.
This is kind of like a giant VR gym. So you can kind of strap into this giant machine with a VR headset, and there's all kinds of interactive games that you can play. But it can also be used for like physical strength training and adventuring and all sorts of great things.
And speed bike racing and so on.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, we're getting into the lab area now.
Yeah, this is all kind of the shared workspace. And we've got a few different projects. So this is a relatively new addition.
Oh my goodness.
And so this showed up days before I had to fly off to Europe before camp, and so there's just this giant box of robot on the floor, and it's like, well, we need to unbox this and like make it work. So I think I had like 72 hours, and I was like, I'm gonna make this thing move before I leave. So I think we got it up and running and blinking, and was able to pass one drink with it, and then I had to fly out. And then there was a Mech Labs team here that came together to learn how to use it and program it and finish and put it together. So if you poke in the cabinet here, you can see there's this Tucson cobot, and so all kinds of wires and PLCs and industrial controls. And this is set up in a palletizing configuration, so it can take boxes off the conveyor belt and stack them on pallets in a warehouse.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, this is from AAA20 Group, which makes these available.
Very cool.
For resources. And
we've got an array of different laser cutters.
You want to say a quick hello? And,
you want to say hi?
You're working on?
Hi.
My name is with 20.
Oh.
So explaining, we have an industrial robot on here. It's a Tucson one. Its payload is 25 kgs and 55 pounds. And yeah, it's got a reach of 700 millimeters. So yeah, as well as training.
Very cool.
Yeah, we were working on a acquisition solution before. We're currently working on the initial pick in place. So yeah,
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah.
You got a
And then we've got a range of 3D printers. So we've got the Bruces, and then yeah, we've recently been getting more and more bamboos.
Me too. Me too. I love my bamboo.
One of our other co-founders here is also really into 3D printing and a fan of graphics. So this was built by members here as a 3D printer, and then Dan built this beast. There's a big sculpture on the front table. You can get an idea of its build volume, but obviously that can make really large prints.
Yeah.
And then we have yet another one over here. This is a Pantheon 3D printer. And this one is really good at printing carbon fiber parts.
Oh.
So this is pretty lightweight.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
But also pretty large and very stiff.
Yeah.
So you can do 3D printing, carbon fiber on here, and then also a really high temperature nylon.
Nice.
So if you're working in a really hot environment and things like that. So these are all available for members.
You've got pick and place as well as
and, yeah,
and various electronic.
That's
well, also, like, just quick pointer here. This is a recording podcast studio type thing.
exactly.
People,
So,
messy.
And then we've got the usual workbench and whatnot. And Murdad actually set this up to do the early all birds really.
Oh, and you've got your sewing lab over here as well.
Exactly. So
very cool.
Come through that.
Okay, we'll go through this. Yeah. Oh wow, this is a serious sewing machine. Nice large drafting table as well.
Friday night activates, and particularly third Fridays like tonight. If anybody's around in the Bay Area, tonight's going to be Fix-It Clinic.
Yep, I'll be here for that.
And Activate, that's every third Friday.
Yep.
Here's another cool project. This is make boomboxes. So this is all laser cut and assembled. You can see it's got some live hinge features.
I can see that, yeah.
And we'll look at a finished one. But Noel makes these really cool boomboxes. And
they look gorgeous.
Yeah, they're.
You can see a finished one over the other side.
Exactly.
Should we go back and listen to the MIDI guitar?
Yeah. And mention, this is our shared desk, floating desk. So if people just want to drop in from time to time and work on a project or whatever, there's space available for that. And
that's more like it.
Oh yeah, there's your top. This is
wow,
off that big print.
Yeah,
so
that's really substantial. That's huge.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it really does. Wild. Well, I can hear some bleeps and bloops happening.
Yeah. Let's see what we've got.
Let's go back. I'm going to check in on the chat.
Yes.
Because someone's definitely won the prize, but I don't know who. Well, here we go. Wi-Fi choppy back. Okay. Apparently we got some questions. John McMaster said, "What's the gripper on the robot arm?"
Yeah. So there's I think it's I have to go look at it again, but I think it's actually a Danish company. I want to say On Robot. I have to double check. But we've got a couple of different grippers, mostly or end effectors, which are mostly vacuum based for picking up boxes. But right now, it's got an experimental attachment, which is trying to stack slippy paper. So it's a prototype experimentation right now.
Very cool. All right. So also we did pass the time slot that I wrote for the prize. And unsurprisingly, David won because you've been asking loads of really interesting questions. Thank you for commenting in the chat. Send us your details, David. I already have your details, but I will get that CaribouLite sent out to you. Yeah. Cool. Well done.
All right.
All right. So let's go and take a look at the MIDI guitar, huh?
Andre, you ready for your close-up?
Are you ready? Show me.
Yeah.
So what's...
Tell me.
Yeah, so right now...
Got this Nova.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm doing is I'm sending MIDI controller information out to the modular. The modular is taking that voltage for the pitch and for the gate and is translating that into messages for an arpeggiator. So I'm running that through the arpeggiator right now.
Show me what you're doing with your hand. So you've got multi-touch going on there. Super cool. Very cool. That's awesome. It's such a great instrument. That's cool. Yeah, I had fun playing it last night. Thank you for the demo.
And maybe John can add any commentary, but real quick we'll show. So there's another great meetup, Mountain View Reverse Engineering. So we had a Valentine's edition, and John made up these cool prints.
John McMaster.
Exactly. And if you take a look at the screen here.
I'm so sorry.
Right? So it says, I would for you, and there's a silicon die. So I would die for you.
I love it.
3D printed heart. So if you look at so you see it's black.
We're putting it 3D.
But on this side, it's a different color, and so we can see when we find the die here that we had. So there's the actual chip. So you can see some of the features. You do need some stuff. But then also, what's really cool is if you look at the 3D print detail, you see all these glittery bits. So I believe that's a sputtered gold finish on a 3D print.
Very cool.
Under magnification.
Very cool. This is so great. I had great fun playing with this yesterday. Thanks for sharing it. Labsmore.com. Love it. Oh, that was cool. All right, should we switch back over to the normal thing so we can let's remove. Let's add you.
All right, and now unmuted. And
now
unmuted. So, question about the hexagon wall here. So,
hang on, I'm getting. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. It's just a nice bit of blinky ambiance for the space, but also kind of a wall tribute to robots over the years. So we've got the old pet dogs and various other things. This was a project here.
What's that pin?
So we call this Ricci. There is a pin on here. I don't know if anybody recognizes this, but a classic friend of Drew.
Who's Drew? Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
You know or you don't. Apparently friends with all the robots. So this was put together as a class project to explore. But we also have these Telepresence boxes. These are so cool.
Are these yours or like who makes these?
So these are from Omni Labs.
These
are some early versions that have been being tested here.
Cool.
And if anybody's really interested in seeing more of the space or wants to magically transport themselves here, you can actually embody one of these robots. So I guess
two people turned up to the meetup I did yesterday with the robots, and it was so fun. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Actually, somebody even gave a talk from a Telepresence robot, and it's really inspired me. I'm like, got to get me some Telepresence robot for Teardown. Oh wait, I've totally forgotten to tell anybody about Teardown. Teardown is the CrowdSupply annual conference, and this year it's running from the 21st to the 23rd of June. The call for proposals is now open, as is the early bird tickets. We also have a bunch of opportunities to get free tickets. We have an art exhibit, we do projects on tables, we do workshops, we do talks, and we also have a hackerspace program as well. So if you want to come and represent your hackerspace, you can come along and we give you a few free tickets based on what you're bringing. Obviously, you get more tickets if you're bringing something larger, but if you're bringing some stickers, that's fine too. And we just want more people from hackerspaces to come and represent their places. Hackerspaces, makerspaces, event spaces like this, I should say, not just pure hackerspaces. So yes, I forgot to tell anybody about this conference that we're running. So if you are if you're in the area, so the non-early price. So we've got 3 ticket levels. The first one's already over. The first ticket level is $125, and that's for people who contributed in the past or people who subscribe to our newsletter, right? So that's gone out, and that's the early bird. And then the early bird is $200, and then the non-early bird is $300. Yeah. So and we provide all the food and everything. It's a big, it's a great conference, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in charge this year.
And there's a hackerspace special.
Yeah. There's hackerspace special, free tickets for people who. Basically, we've got a bunch of free tickets that we want to give out to people from hackerspaces. We know each other from Euro hacking, right? Or
well, I think we met. I think
I can't remember where we met.
It was SuperCon back in the day.
But we both go to a lot of different Euro hacker spaces.
Yeah,
so we
Congress,
Camp, and like the same hacker spaces over there. And one of my favorite things about those events is that people come and represent their space, right? And I really love walking around camp and seeing the Labitat who are there, like the Swedish hackers or whatever. And I just really want to get a bit more of that into the event that they've given me the reins to now.
Yeah,
it's
going
to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be quite hackery and fun. I've rented a large retail space in a semi-abandoned mall in Portland to do this. So it's definitely going to be a bit left of center. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Teardown's been a great event. It's a lot of fun to be in Portland, and there's a lot of great activities before and after.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing a screening of hackers. We're doing after parties. We're going to do factory tours. Protocaster are going to show us around and do a filament making session. All this, Hacker Day runs a brunch usually. Well, there's stuff before and after, and it's really fun.
Yeah, so. And I no pressure, but I know you're going to do an incredible job. And I would hate to be the person that has to follow you because I think it's going to be.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm going to do some interesting things.
Yeah. So I'll tease a little bit too.
Yeah.
In that I have this long time project that I call the space shuttle, which is literally a giant space as a shuttle. And maybe, just maybe, it'll make it up to Teardown, and then maybe even tour camp after. So
the weekend after tour camp.
The plug in the call is if there's anyone in the Bay Area or anyone along the way, it's a 20-person transport vehicle with a hydraulic lift on the side.
We've got amazing load in, load out because it's a mall.
Yeah.
They're set up for giant trucks.
So if anybody has crazy projects like a full-size CNC mill in their garage, or is possibly looking for a ride, or wants to throw a cocktail bottle on, I'm
gonna get this. It's an old Gap is the space that I rented. So I'm gonna get it licensed. I get a liquor license for this old Gap, just so we can do robot bartending.
Yeah. So we'll have some alcoholic roboticist specialists on tap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're coming up on our
hour. Coming up on our hour. So I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the people who have shown us their projects today at Circuit Launch, and of course a massive shout out to Circuit Launch themselves for hosting us here, both today and last night as well. So thanks for helping us put on that little Sound Hackers event.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing Ubo. And yes, thank you also. Remember to thank the sponsor at the end. Thank you, Qorvo, for sponsoring the giveaway today. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you soon.
And if anybody wants to continue on, and if you find your way there, I'll show you how to hijack one of these robots. So if anybody wants to talk to us, we're going to be hanging out, doing more sound and stuff. So if you want to join us, repoint your browser to j.wfh.cx.
Hang on, say it again. I'm going to write it down.
So oh yeah, it's coming in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah.
j.wfh
wfh.cx/cl
like circuit launch. So yeah, so that's a Jitsi stream that's running, and if you hop on there, I'll add some links, and you can jump on one of these robots, or just ask us more questions and hang out with us here.
Very cool.
So,
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having us. If you are in the area, as Bo said, we are hanging out later on this evening. Have some beers, some pizza, and hack on stuff. And also, if you are in the wider Bay Area / San Francisco, whatever, on the way back up from my trip down to California, I'm going to be hosting an open hardware happy hour with Hackster and Studio 45, which is this really cool hardware space in downtown San Francisco. Downtown San Francisco-ish?
yeah, I mean, it's on.
I know nothing about the geography of San Francisco.
Outer Mission.
Okay.
And yeah, pretty easy to get to.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, real quick, we mentioned we're doing this Brickbreakers thing, so we'll be doing some events here. We'll also be doing some events at Hacker Dojo in Mountain View.
Very
So,
cool.
you know, we've got space all around the Bay, wherever you are.
How do people keep up with your projects and you? Are you a Mastodon user, or are you just an in-person person?
I mean, I float around the Bay, so that's
You're just an in-person person.
that's,
like me.
you know,
Yeah.
but you probably I guess I'll put the challenge out there. Anybody who doesn't already, hit me up on Signal. You probably know somebody that knows me how to get on there. So good luck with that. But I'll put up a website and some things. Hopefully by the time the show notes go up, there'll be more details.
It's
but
fine.
but
It's
yeah,
fine.
you've got the Jitsi link.
You got the Jitsi link.
That'll be live tonight as well. If you want to join us later
Yeah.
for the
Hangout.
thing.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thanks.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.